Hello, I'm sitting down to review a relatively unknown novel. This is Dealing, or the Berkeley-to-Boston 40 Brick Lost Bag Blues by Michael Douglas. This is a book that I picked up from the library a couple of days ago, and I've never heard of it. I'm sure you've never heard of it, which is why I call my channel From the Dusty Bookshelf. I occasionally review things that neither of us have probably ever heard of. But this was a relatively entertaining read, not the most enlightening or exciting thing I've ever read, but quite good. So this was published in 1970, and part of what made me pick it up off the shelf was the opening. It opens in second person. The narrator refers to you do this, you felt this, but then within a few pages it switches to first person and we have our main character Peter narrating for us. So this is the story of a drug-using, drug-dealing, drug-running college kid from Boston named Peter. He is kind of caught up in the business of some larger dealers, Musty, who is out in California, and John, who is in Boston. He works directly for John and ends up doing a run to California, to the Berkeley area, where he is picking up some pot, and at the same time he also meets a woman and kind of falls in love there, hooks up with her, and wants to bring her back to Boston. So overall, this is not a bad light read, as I said, not enlightening, not the best thing I've ever picked up. It was a little bit discouraging, though, to have characters who constantly put down the intelligence of women, a narrator that is constantly referring to women as chicks. I suppose that is the time, that was the slang of the late 60s and early 70s when this book was written and published. But it was equally disheartening to have the only women portrayed in this novel basically constructed of negative cliches. Putting that aside, it was entertaining. It was quite funny to read the narration. The main character, Peter, was constantly having debates with himself, and the reader was privy to those debates. The narration style can't help but make you laugh a bit. It was enjoyable to read. I read it in about 24 hours. I guess if you're just looking for something a little bit different, something that places you in the 1960s American atmosphere, then maybe dig up a copy of this book.